I'm going to discuss with you 5 business ideas, the pros and cons, and how you can leverage these ideas to have a more successful life.
Are you a photographer? Have you started your own business?
No.
Why are you not doing your own business?
So a photography business, I actually think there's an opportunity to start a photography business even if you're not a photographer. I used to run an agency called Fluid. It was a graphic design business at its core, creative, and I can't design. So I hired and brought in partners who were designers, and I was the marketing side of that business, and I made a fortune from it. Quite often photographers, not always, but quite often, a little bit nervous about marketing or don't have time for marketing because they're taking photographs. So I think there's actually an agency or a business in helping photographers get work, helping them manage their time, managing their accounts. So I think there's a real business, ironically, in supporting photographers. Would I invest in a business like this? I mean, the answer is probably no. It's not necessarily a business I would invest in unless you went down the agency route. I think that's pretty interesting.
Excuse me, would you ever start a business of your own?
Yep.
Wonderful, what would you do?
I would start logistics.
Logistics business, in my opinion, is one of the biggest underrated business ideas in 2023. The delivery market is growing massively and there's such a shortage. If I wanted to make some extra money right now, I'd go rent a van and put myself on the delivery circuit. I think there's so much money to be made in this space if you can turn that into a brand. Billion-dollar companies have come from this space, but I feel like they aren't really conquering the on-the-ground home delivery business. I would actually rebrand the boxes. I'd make the boxes feel exciting, kind of what Apple did with computers, that the box itself was beautiful to unbox. I'd changed the model so I wasn't just delivering a disgusting brown box. I would actually make sure that I built a whole customer service around it and I'd build it up into a massive brand. There could be a business even in looking after the existing drivers that are doing this. Most of them are actually under a self-employed structure, which means they don't have healthcare, they don't have certain benefits, they probably don't have a union, they probably don't even have a central place they can all gather. There's probably a business in servicing the delivery drivers themselves, be it value add, bonuses, discounts at coffee shops that they stop at on the way. It could be a million ways to support that type of community. But I think the core idea of delivery drivers and building the next UPS or building the next FedEx is real. It's a real opportunity and I think an idea worth looking at.
If you had all the money in the world, or maybe you do already, what would you do?
Sustainable styling?
So how can we make this business real? This is a good idea.
I think I wanted to do something more on a VR side of things.
You see yourself selling the clothes in VR?
No, more like to scan their own closet and see what they have already and then combine and reuse what they already have.
The first thing I think of when I hear this idea is, wow, it's big, right? And I'm sure when you hear it, you think, wow, there's a lot of potential work required to do the VR side of this business, like to scan people's clothing and then create a app or an algorithm that allows people to understand the different ways they can use that clothing, right? Very complicated. So when you hear these big ideas, my suggestion is to anyone with a big idea, break it down into this really small idea that's not scalable so you can at least understand how it might work. And then try it. Go to your friends and ask them, hey, would you like me to restyle your wardrobe? Instead of you spending any money on clothes, let me help you rethink your existing wardrobe. This particular idea, the pros are, I think there's a real demand in the market, especially in a time when people want to save money. If you can save people money so they don't have to spend money on new clothes and they can use their existing wardrobe to stay current, to stay in fashion, to stay looking cool, I think there's a huge business in it. The weakness of this business model is if you think too big, you're going to need to spend a lot of money on technology like VR to actually make it work. Now, I always tell people you've got to think, so why not think big? And I know from experience building massive companies, it's easier to run a big company than a small company. But it's not easier to start a big company than a small company. I love this idea. Would I invest in it? I think I would if they started small, and I would if they had a technical co-founder to help build the technology.
What do you do?
I'm catering manager.
And if money was no object and you could do anything, what would you do?
I will open my own business, yeah.
What would it do?
It will be catering, yeah, definitely.
I would like to hire your catering firm. I'm going to give you £100 and be your first catering client. Is this for you?
You're joking?
No? Your dream is not as far away as you think.
Your dream is not as far away as you think. It's so true. Now, I actually think catering businesses generally, there's so many of them, of course, already, but I think they can be a great business for people in many ways. There are businesses that have scaled up, like in the UK, for example, you've got brands like Gales, do bread. There's all sorts of hotel chains that offer catering services now. But what I really love about an idea like this, especially for this particular person, is that it's a passion already. So if you love to cook, then you can actually start a catering company. And it can be as simple as dinner parties for friends, making cakes for your neighborhood, even just going on social media platforms and sharing your cooking can earn you money. I think there's so many different ways within the catering cooking business for you to make money. I think the pro of this idea is it's really easy to start up. And I actually think quite often if you want to build an actual catering business, which involves vans and kitchens and upfront costs for ingredients, then you can even start this business quite easily by going out and winning a couple of clients. I know a friend, for example, who went to an airline and got the airline catering business confirmed before they even got a kitchen. So you can win orders in advance and then reverse engineer all the infrastructure required to service that order. If you think you need to go out and actually build a whole kitchen, buy vans, and then start doing things like sales, then you probably won't get a big catering business off the ground because you've got the wrong mindset. It is not as hard as it sounds. But I think for a lot of people, this can be a nice side hustle business. I know someone that was baking bread. They did a leaflet drop that actually ended up at my home in London. I then ordered bread from them every single day. And so they would literally bake it at home, jump on a bike in the morning and deliver it to the local neighborhood. And I know she was making £500-600 a week doing that. The negative of an idea like this is you've got to be sure of what you want. A lot of people might go into it loving cooking, but if you don't do it in a way that is sustainable for you or enjoyable for you, I know a lot of people that have got into catering because they love cooking and end up managing payroll, doing marketing, things they don't necessarily love. So make sure you don't get trapped by the negative. Would I invest in this business? Probably don't need me as an investor in a business like this, but I will definitely buy product from anybody who's listening to this today and decides to do a catering business. I promise you, I'll buy your product at some point in my life.
Excuse me, would you guys ever start a business of your own?
Yeah.
What would you do?
Mid-century modern, like reselling and refinishing furniture.
So I like this idea. Again, like the previous idea, I think it taps into what people want right now, which is to use up less resources of the planet. I think it's a big business. Anything you can give life back to saves the planet, right? So whether it's clothing or furniture, anything, then I think it's big business. There's always going to be money in that sort of idea. The pro of this idea, in my opinion, is there's a lot of stuff out there that people are throwing out that they don't realize has value. And I think people will buy it as well. I think people will buy pre-loved stuff. The negative in the model, there's a lot of infrastructure required potentially to scale an idea like this. And you need to think about this very carefully. Do you want this to be a lifestyle business where you're fixing 1 or 2 pieces of furniture up a week? Or do you want this to be a proper business? There's a huge amount of upfront cost if you're going to scale this business. You're going to need to have probably a warehouse. You're going to have potentially delivery vans. I don't think I'd invest in it because most of the people doing it will probably want it just to be a family run small business. You don't need an investor in that sort of situation. It's not that I wouldn't love the business or even buy from it, I would. But I do think it's got merit, and anything pre-loved, any pre-loved business idea right now, I think would do really well. Now for the quick challenge. In the comments, tell me which idea you like and the 5 steps you're going to take to make it real. I'll respond to one of you with an invite to have a one-on-one Zoom with me, and I might even invest in it with you.